Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Plaistow Board of Selectmen meeting for April 12th, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Beth, may I have a roll call, please?
Select Chair, Mr. Talion.
Here.
Select Vice Chair, Mr. Bletton.
Here.
Selectman Mr. DeRoche.
Here.
Selectman Mr. Coy.
Here.
Selectman Mr. Bretton.
Here.
And note for the record, we have Town Manager Mr. Pearson and Assistant Town Manager Mr. Colby attending remotely.
Thank you. Would you all please stand? Selectman Britton, would you please join us, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Board of Selectmen, in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, is authorized to meet electronically. The Board of Selectmen is utilizing the Zoom program for electronic meetings. During these meetings, all the members of the board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during the meeting, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen to the meeting. The link to these electronic meetings is provided in our town website. The public may call in for comment during the public comment portion of the agenda at 603-382-5200, extension 290. They may also watch the meeting on channel 17 or live stream the meeting at livestream.com/Plaistow/meetings. If you would like to make a comment or ask a question by email, please email Beth at bhossack@plaistow.com, and I'll spell it out, BHOSSACK@plaistow.com. Questions and comments that are received by 3 p.m. the day of the Board of Selectmen meeting will be read at that meeting. Our first item is to approve the minutes of March 29th. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion to approve the March 29th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Second by Darrell. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? So that is a 5-0-0. Thank you. Okay, so I don't believe we have people here for public comment. We do have a public hearing that we are going to do first. So what I would like to do is open this public hearing and allow the public the ability to provide feedback on the potential sale of town-owned land. We have 2 lots that are under consideration, 13 Rose Avenue, which does have a house on it, and 17 Canterbury Forest, which is an empty lot that has an irrigation path on it and is a fairly wet lot. The Conservation Committee and the Planning Board were both requested to provide their recommendations, and both of them recommended the sale of the 13 Rose Avenue property, but they did not recommend the sale of the 13 Canterbury Forest lot. Do we have anyone online to speak to the potential sale of these properties?
We have one attendee, but no hands raised at the moment.
Okay. Is there anybody present in the room that would like to speak on this public hearing? Okay.
Oh, he has raised his hand, so I will allow him to speak.
Okay,
Okay,
please.
this is Joshua Manning. Josh, if you want to unmute your mic, you're on.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can. And Joshua, could you just state what's your address?
Yeah, I don't reside in town.
Okay.
Just, with potential, if you did decide to auction the property off, we would be interested in putting in a bid on it. I represent Centerview Hollow Land Company out of Acton.
Okay. So I believe that our town manager is online as well, so hopefully he heard that. Mark, did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. All right. Is there anybody else that wishes to make comments about these two sales? Can't hear you. Okay. Is there anybody else that is present that would like to make comment about the sale of these two properties? Yes?
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
and also Joshua, perhaps after some other speakers speak, I think it would be appropriate with Joshua to at least explain why they have interest in the property, and perhaps answer some questions in addition to the other members of the public that wish to speak on this.
Okay. Thank you. So we do have a person that does wish to speak. If you could tell us your name and your address. Oh, okay. So just to be very clear, this public hearing right now has to do with two lots of land that the town is proposing to sell. So you do not wish to talk about that. Is that correct?
Not right now.
Okay. Okay. Joshua, can you give us a little explanation of your interest or any background that will help the board?
Yes, can you? Basically, we have an abutting property on Harriman under agreement, and that property does not have enough frontage to be subdivided. Right now, we have no immediate plans to develop the larger piece there, but with the lack of frontage, we'd like to do a one-lot subdivision to carve off the existing house on Harriman. So this property on Canterbury would give us the additional frontage that's needed in order to be able to go through with that one-lot subdivision and carve off the house on Harriman. So that's our only development intent at this time. Just looking to sit on the land for a while, and this would be our means to do so.
Okay.
That's all I have.
So I'd like to offer any of the selectmen who have a question about this, to pose the question to Joshua?
None.
None? Okay. So I just have a couple of questions. One, this lot is considered very wet, not necessarily wetlands, but wet, and it also has a drainage section on it. And the concerns of the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board was the fact of one, whether someone would attempt to put a house on this, and that you've basically explained that was not what your intention was. And the second concern was that they would put a road through this. So is that any of your intention, or would the land still be worthwhile for you to purchase if there was those two restrictions, that no road or building would be put on the 17 Canterbury lot?
Yep, we have no problem with the restriction on not being able to build a house on it. We were hoping to be able to leave our options open, so somewhere down the road, if the fire department were to ask for some type of emergency access or something like that, we'd still be able to look at that. I understand the property is wetland, and the drainage easement that's there would be able to be maintained in any regard. Basically, just trying to leave our options open. We'd be fine with that restriction of no house being able to be built there. With all the wetland setbacks and stuff like that, it really wouldn't be feasible. And if we ever did have any type of road, it wouldn't be a primary access road. It may just be an emergency type access. So it's the back part of the land, which is separated from a big wetland, so.
Thank you. Any other questions, gentlemen?
Yeah, I have a comment, and my comment is,
Pull your microphone closer to you. Pull your microphone closer.
when you say you'll leave the options open, we're in the process of doing prime wetlands in Plaistow, and that area is being surveyed and checked at the moment. So I would like to leave the town's options open, because if it is designated as prime wetlands, it does change things. And I'm not happy with leaving options open to have an access road through there. So that's all I have to say about it.
Okay. Any other comments about these two lots? Okay. So we'll close yes? I'm sorry.
I was going to say,
Yes.
I agree with what John just said. I think the town, we need to keep our options open. I mean, if it's prime wetlands, we're not going to put anything through there.
Okay.
And everyone needs to be well aware of that.
Jay, did you have any comments?
I was in agreement with John's comments as well. I just wanted to
Okay. Thank you.
say that.
That's okay. That's fine. Great. All set?
I'm just looking, the final sentence in that Canterbury Forest section was that the motion was recommended to the select board that the parcel at 17 Canterbury Forest not be sold.
Yeah.
So,
Right, and it was from both the planning and conservation, so it was both of them. And it was unanimous, right, with both of them? Both
No.
votes?
There were not. There was not.
Oh, one was what, 041, right?
Yeah. So one of the comments that I will make is, since I was attending the planning board during that evening, there was basically, they didn't go into a lot of detail in terms of what the lot would be used for. And so my assumptions were people were voting no because they didn't want it to be built on. So there was no presentation about how the lot might be used to increase the frontage without being built on it. So that's, I just want to add that to that. So I was not present at the conservation. John, were you present there? when that was
Yes.
discussed?
Yeah.
And was the whole picture presented, or was it just a matter of,
Well, this is, Joshua Manning just said something that we weren't presented with, and that is leave our options open. There might be an access road. And that's the first time, I kind of had a feeling that that was in the back of their mind, but this is the first time it's actually been mentioned. And I wouldn't be happy with leaving my options open to doing that, because that's as bad as a house lot. Because once you open it up, it's going to be an access road, primary or secondary. So, you know, I'm glad he mentioned it, because it does open up that is an intent. And so we have to beware before we make our decision.
all right, unless there's any additional comments, I'm going to close the public hearing at,
Oh, hold on.
okay. Was there another one? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jerry Holt, 17 Harriman Road.
Okay,
Yeah, I think Joshua, they have a good record as far as putting in any lot of buildings or what have you, developments. They've done some in Newton, and every single one they do is excellent. They go right to the wire. Anything that has to be done, they'll do. And as far as wetlands, only about 50%, if that, is considered wet in that area. Also, the brook that you're talking about, CV Brook, it's an intermittent brook. It only runs maybe a little bit in the spring. So I think it would be a good thing to sell this land that's laying dormant, doing nothing. And the town of Plaistow actually needs more housing, all right? And not only that, but the revenue, I think all land in Plaistow that's owned by the town, that's laying dormant, should be sold. And the money that's generated from that should actually go to people, elderly people 65 or older, towards their taxes. Now, during this coronavirus, a lot of people are hurting, especially people on Medicare that only have a fixed income coming in. They're having a trouble paying their bills, buying food, getting gasoline, getting oil to heat their houses, because everything is going up. So I think a good thing for the selectmen to do would be to approve selling all the land and the proceeds be given to deducting the taxes on the elderly. All right?
Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate that.
I think the sooner the better that the selectmen approve this would be good, because the taxes are coming up, and it would help the people of this town, and it would be a good thing. A lot of your towns already, people 65 or older get a deduction. And I think for Plaistow to do this would be a step in the right direction. And I think as far as Joshua, them doing this development, I think there's no problems, because they're not going to do it right away, and they're going to look into everything, and when it's done, and it will be done, it's going to be done right.
Okay?
So, any questions you'd like to ask me? John?
Yeah, my other question would be that if that property on Canterbury, if it's not sold,
Yes.
does that mean that the project will not happen? Does that have to be?
No.
Or it's just
No.
the amount of lots?
No, it doesn't mean that the project will not be done. If the property cannot be acquired on Canterbury Forest, then there will be another egress. In fact, there will be an egress and an exit. So there should be a fire lane for the fire department to come in, and there should all be another exit for people to come in to the development. So it will not, that will not inhibit the development. It'll go ahead. So regardless, it would be a better thing for the town, because you have land laying dormant, doing nothing, when it could be sold and the monies could be put towards the elderly as far as reducing their taxes.
But that housing project can
Yes.
still happen, whether you,
It will happen.
okay.
It will-
So you
regardless.
You don't need Canterbury Forest to do it.
No,
Okay.
no.
So then, why go after it?
Well, because it's a good egress.
So the proposal is actually to put a road there. That is the
I don't know
intent.
I don't know what they want to do. I would imagine, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
so, and that's my issue, and that is wet more than the springtime?
Well, regardless if it's what or not, they're a construction company.
It's wetlands, and me personally, and maybe some other people, want to keep our wetlands somewhat safe. Just, you can do the project without it. So it shouldn't be that big of a hassle.
Why wouldn't you want to sell the land regardless, if they buy it or somebody else buy it, if you're going to be generating monies that could be put towards the elderly, reducing their taxes? Why wouldn't you want to sell properties that are laying dormant, doing nothing? Why not?
Because I don't think we should be selling wetlands to developers. That's my opinion. And that's
You know,
just my opinion.
even if you cross wetlands, all right, you have to get an application from Concord to do that. And it should be left up to the state to decide whether or not a wetland is going to be crossed. It's up to the state.
But it has to start here.
Well, as far as selling the properties, it's foolish to have properties that are doing nothing and will never do anything when you could generate some income to help the elderly in this town. And this is one of the few outfits, when they do something, they do it right. And I don't know if you're aware of any of the developments they've put in, but they're big. And every single one, they're excellent, and they're done right. So they're not going to do anything that's, dark or out of question.
So we're not going to make a determination. This is a public hearing. We wanted to listen. We're having a lot more conversation here.
Yeah,
but-
it's gonna
but
go
we
in.
we wanted to be able to listen to
Yes.
people's concerns and
That's good.
people's, and so then we will deliberate that at a later point, and then we can make a decision. I think part of this idea of having a road and how it may impact the Canterbury circle there would have to go back to the planning board for advice, because this is not what we gave the planning board. We just gave them an open lot of land and said, do you recommend that we sell this property? So that could be a possibility, but I think there's more study that we need to do. So we'll deliberate and we'll get some additional information on this before we make a
See,
decision.
there's other areas, other places where they can go in, but this would have been a good egress.
Okay,
So it's not going to retard or stop the development, it's going to go
Yep.
in.
okay. I appreciate
This would have been, like I say, good for the elderly, good for the fire department,
Yeah.
and good for everybody, the town. And the town would set a good precedence if they were to reduce the taxes of the elderly, especially people on Medicare that have a fixed income and are having a very hard time to get by in this coronavirus.
Yeah.
So I think all these things should be taken into consideration.
Yep.
And keeping land that is doing nothing.
Well,
is-
we don't have that intention. We basically
good
are,
to- good-
we
not good
basically
for
are
anybody.
we're looking at the lots that we can sell, and we are attempting to do due diligence and to study and make sure that we have all the facts, and then present it to the public, and then we can make an educated decision of what we can sell. These two lots just came up. We were looking at what land can we actually purchase, can we sell and get it back on the the
Revenue.
tax lines. So these are the first two that came up, and they were the ones that had the least legal bindings, and problems.
Well, that
So
lot's
we
the-
will,
that-
we will deal with these two first, and then hopefully at some time in the future, we'll be able to look at other lots that the town owns that may be possible that we can sell
See,
those as well.
that lot could be generating tax revenue. It's been sitting there for a long time.
Yep.
And this outfit, they have engineers, they have all kinds of things, and I'm sure if they were to put a road through there, I don't know, but they'd be able to put conduits and drains, and they would do it right.
Correct.
So I don't know what people are worrying about. I mean, it's foolish.
Okay.
You want to do something with it.
We appreciate your input and your feedback.
Okay.
We will use that for our deliberation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on the sale of these two properties? So hearing none, and Dean, is there anybody else that's online that,
No, there are not.
okay. So we will close this public hearing at 6:53, and we'll move on with the rest of our agenda. Okay. So we have the Conservation Committee is looking to purchase 4.32 acres of land that abut the town forest, and they would use, the price, $25,000, would come from their trust fund, but that would require the approval of the BOS, the Board of Selectmen, and hopefully everybody has had this paperwork for a while, has had the opportunity to be able to look at it. I hope that you guys either have questions or you have some decision one way or the other, whether you wish to approve or not approve it. Can I first ask for just for discussion, and then we can go further? Yes.
I have a question, and I don't know if Tim can answer this, but what types of monies goes into this trust fund? Is it sale of lumber? Is it sale of conservation land, stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a 36A conservation fund, which in our case requires approval of both the Concom and Selectmen to expend from. It is, it gets funded occasionally by, it's set up like a capital reserve. It gets funded occasionally by deposits from town meeting. There's a companion current use fund with the same parameters. That gets, deposits there get when current use land gets sold as a penalty tax of, I think 10% of the market value, something like that. I'm not exactly sure of the percentage. So those are the two primary sources of funding.
So first of all, are there any questions that either you don't understand or you basically want more detail? Yes?
Yeah,
Mr. Bretton.
Tim, and I'm directing this to you, you probably can fill me in a little bit better. How much of the 4 acres did we need to have a continuation of the trail without purchasing all of it?
Yeah. Well, I think I think Mr. Jackson owns actually about 8 acres. So this 4 acres is all in Plaistow. The Jackson, that parcel is right on the Plaistow-Atkinson border with about half the amount of land in each town. And surrounding the Plaistow piece are all parcels that are part of the town forest. And an old woods trail, actually goes through that property already.
Are there any other questions before we put forth a motion to do this?
I got just one
Okay.
more. So if we were to purchase this, does this lock in this section of land into perpetuity? Like, so it will never be sold off and it will never be built on?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it would be part of the town forest. And we would, at next year's town meeting, put a warrant article in to make that request if the parcel does become part of the town forest. That's a pretty good restriction and preservation technique. As you recall, about 4 or 5 years ago now, we worked with Southeast Land Trust on a conservation easement. And that really kind of is the ultimate preservation, because there, the land trust owns the easement and the town is the executor of the easement. So the two of us work together to maintain and preserve that land. Unfortunately, you can't just add parcels to the easement. So I think this parcel and one that was on the Plaistow Hampstead line a couple of years ago, we made a similar purchase and included that parcel as part of the town forest, but it remains outside of the conservation easement. And so this would, we would attempt to do the same thing here, purchase the land this year, go to town meeting in 2022 to make it part of the town forest.
Okay. I'd solicit anyone to make a motion, the motion that we have presented for this, and that way we can have a final discussion if necessary, and then we can vote. Would someone please make this motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation from the Conservation Commission to pursue the 4.32 acre parcel.
Okay.
Is that the motion you're looking for?
There's a draft motion here.
Oh, all right. Pardon me,
There's all the details.
withdraw that one.
Sorry about
I
that.
make a motion to accept the recommendation from the Conservation Commission to purchase a parcel of land of approximately 4.32 acres abutting the Plaistow Town Forest. The land is owned by Aaron Jackson, 30 Crown Hill Road, Atkinson, New Hampshire, 03811. The land includes Plaistow Town Forest trails running through the parcel. The agreed-upon price is $25,000. The funds will come from the Conservation Fund, which has adequate monies to cover the cost. If the acquisition is successful, a warrant article will be placed on the 2022 ballot asking voters to add the parcel to the town forest.
I'll second that.
So, Carol seconded. Any further discussion?
I just have one more. So how much more will that open up the town, well, not open up the town forest, but will that allow for more trails to be developed?
Probably not. I think we're kind of maxed out as far as trails concerned.
Okay.
But it would allow the trail that's there, you would be remaining in conservation or town forest property as opposed to trespassing on private property. So from that point of view, it would be a good deal.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
So the discussion is over. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All abstain. So that passes 5-0-0. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Deborah Bretton Robinson is a local artist and will be providing our town with the ability to digitalize some of her paintings of the town to be used as Channel 17 backgrounds. We are very proud to have fine arts in our town, and we wish to thank Deborah for her kind offer. Additionally, one of Deborah's paintings depicts the office of Attorney Sumner Coleman. He has purchased the painting and is gifting it to the town. We wish to also thank Attorney Coleman for his kind gift and support, and also in his support for local fine art in our town and area. And I believe that Dean Zanello would also like to speak on this topic.
Absolutely. So just to give a little bit of background, we were recently contacted by Attorney Kalman, who came across this artwork, Deb Bretton's, Robinson's artwork, and we are looking forward to having this as our backgrounds. We're always looking for some new images and artwork for our channel and also for our social media, and we actually are definitely due for some new content, so we're really looking forward to this. So Attorney Coleman has purchased the artwork and has donated it to the town, so I would like to thank both Attorney Coleman and Deb Bretton Robinson for her artwork, of course, and we look forward to having that in our background graphics and artwork and using it throughout wherever we can.
Is this Deborah right here?
This is the artwork right here, and I just want to...
Dean, why don't you show it to everybody?
Why don't you bring it
In
up,
the
bring it
audience,
up
show
here,
in
and
the
I
audience so
can,
they
I can
see.
put it in front of me, and we can get the camera to catch it.
Get a picture of that?
Nice job.
Yes, it's beautiful.
You'll get it sooner or later. There you go. Awesome. Excellent. Deborah, have a seat, please.
You got a microphone right here?
Hi, I'm Deb Bretton Robinson, and I am a fine artist and art teacher that grew up here in Plaistow. Some of my family members still reside in the town. I was always aesthetically inspired by the neighborhoods, the simple New England architecture, and the woods behind our old farm that still exists, thanks to
That's awesome.
conservation efforts. Plaistow always felt like home to me. Some of my favorite memories have shaped my focus as an artist, such as riding my pony in those woods to the pond, walking over to the town hall from Pollard School when it housed the library, or just riding bikes to the Dairy Queen. Many of the great works of art and history were of simple things that surrounded the artist, and the same can be said for my work. I went to art school in Boston, but much of the work I did was inspired by my roots in New Hampshire. Today, I am here to present you with a painting I created titled Winter Main Street in Plaistow. It was generously purchased and donated to our town by philanthropist attorney Sumner Kalman. We are hoping that this gesture will inspire other residents to support the arts and also inspire a love of art. There is beauty in our little town waiting to be found and interpreted in the simple places in the town we call home.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
I hope we can display that prominently somewhere
Yes.
in the halls of Town Hall.
Yes,
I'm sure somewhere like downstairs, maybe
Yes.
just everyone, when they walk in, they see it.
exactly. Okay, so our next topic is the purchase of fire department radio equipment via the Capital Reserve Fund. And my understanding, they have the determination of what they need to purchase. We had a warrant pass this year, and this will be coming out of the Capital Reserve Fund to purchase these. Chief, would you like to say a few words about this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So after research, we need to replace radios that are 16-plus years old that are not operating like they should. We're going with a proven brand in the industry that is intrinsically safe for us to use at hazardous scenes, explosive areas. They're made for the fire service. And we're ready to make that purchase. We were able to work through the vendor, who was a sole source vendor, to get a discount of 31% from what they normally sell for. So that allows us to buy 18 radios, which gets us more than half of what we need.
Excellent.
And a lot of the parts that go with it that we necessarily won't have to buy in the future, like the charging stations and such. So even though this amount's a little bit high this year, if we go after some more radios next year, it won't be nearly as this high as far as the amount goes, because it would just be purchasing radios, not all the little parts and pieces that have to go with it to make the system work. So we're asking to release the capital improvement plan, or the fund of $129,994.37 to be able to purchase the 18 radios and the accessories that go with them.
So Chief, do you have a number that we have left that we need to eventually replace? I'm assuming next year or the year after?
So we're running around 25, 26 members on the roster.
Okay.
One other thing that we implemented this last year was actually a service agreement with our radio provider, where they come and tune the radios that we have to see what's going on with them, hook them up to the computer, because, you know, today's technology, it's a computer. It's not like an old radio chip it was years ago. So they're able to connect to them to see what's wrong with them, to see if the old ones could be fixed or tuned up, if you will, to make sure they're operable. And then in the future, they'll start giving us a rap sheet of which ones should be replaced next. So to get us all of what we need, we'd have to buy about seven or eight more next year, if we need that. So again, we're going to look at it as the year goes on to see the usage of the current radios that we have.
Do the old radios work well with the new ones?
They will. Yeah, it's all a part of the system. The new ones are going to work a lot better. You know, another avenue that we have to look at is the mutual aid districts that we respond to, and a lot of them are different frequency bandwidths. And this new radio will allow us to communicate with them, which we don't have that capability of doing now.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else have a question for the chief? Yes, Joe?
Chief, quick question. When the radio cycles out and we no longer use it, do we pass it along to less fortunate places in New Hampshire that might be able to use it, or?
So we'll look at, once we get the new radios in, and which ones we're replacing, to see the cost. Sometimes there's a fee in deprogramming the radio for security reasons. And sometimes that fee to deprogram them is more than what you could get if you were to auction them off or sell them to another department.
Yeah.
So that's something that once we get an estimate on what that'll be, we could come back to you all and see what you'd like us to do with the, if you will, the old surplus assets that we no longer need.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Chief. I did entertain the motion that we are presented here. If someone would please read that?
Yep. I'll make a motion to allow Mark A. Pearson, Town Manager, or Fire Chief Chris Knutson to purchase radios and radio equipment from Motorola in the amount of $129,994.37. Based on the presentation provided by Chief Knutson this evening, the funds will be withdrawn from the Fire Department Capital Reserve account.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Please say
Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, please say nay. All abstained? That passes 5-0-0. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you again for supporting what we do.
The next agenda item we have is we wanted to give a forum to our Old Home Day Committee Chair, Haley. I have it here. Haley Bush, I'm sorry, I couldn't remember your last name.
Hello.
Hello.
So those of you that don't know me, my name is Haley Bush, and I'm the chairman of the board for Plaistow Old Home Day. So the reason I'm here today, obviously, is in regards to Old Home Day. The committee and I have met a few times this year, and we've come up with some resolutions to possibly hold an in-person Old Home Day at the end of the summer. We have a tentative date of August 28th. The venue would be at Park. We don't think that we can safely have an Old Home Day here on Pollard Park, so we wanted to use Park where we have the bathrooms facilities and there's enough room and parking that we could all safely be apart. We scaled back Old Home Day, so there will be no parade. We're not planning for any parade or any kind of contests. Any entertainment we have, such as face painters, pony rides, rock wall, balloon twisters, caricaturists, we're going to have them, instead of paying them the $3,000 to $4,000 we pay them, we're going to have them charge the patrons for their services. So they can decide how long they want to stay, and that's just something we don't even have to worry about. We're also asking any money received from the food and craft vendors that would usually go to the Historical Society. We're asking that the Old Home Day Committee keep that money. It varies every year, but it's anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000. So we would like that to stay within our committee. As far as electric at Park, the vendors do pay an extra fee for electric that hooks up to generators. We usually rent those, but I'm told there's also some available from the fire department that we could possibly use. I'm making the volunteer shirts myself at home. So basically, with everything broken down, we would need $6,000 for the fireworks, $275 for our DJ. To keep the website from now until August, where it doesn't need to be open in the off-season that we're not planning, is $110. We pay the Boy Scouts $500 to pick up all of our trash from during the day, including the fireworks as well. And then $100 miscellaneous, that's for like, if we need to hand out bottles of water or tablecloths, things like that. So the grand total that we would need would be $6,985. Sorry, I'm nervous. I hate public speaking.
So let's first talk the funding for Old Home Day was basically taken out of the budget by the Budget Committee. And the motion that they did or offer in a warrant was basically an illegal warrant and had to be removed. So we basically sitting here with no money. So one of the reasons we wanted you to hear is to understand what you just provided us with a cost figure, which is good. And then the second thing is, how do we raise this much money? So I have some additional questions. I don't want to hog the floor, but I'll just pose one question, and that is, Do you have existing bylaws that require the money to go to the Historic Society, or is that just a determination or decision made by the committee?
So we have bylaws. To be completely honest, I'm not sure if that's in our bylaws.
Okay.
But I was told that if that was to switch from Historical Society to us, that would be a Board of Selectmen decision.
Okay, so you could propose, your committee could meet and decide on a change in the bylaws if it's in there.
Yes.
And then you'd present it to us and
Okay,
we would approve that.
understood.
So let me just open it up to the rest of the members. Darrell?
Haley, a quick question, and maybe the board can enlighten me on this a little bit too. The $2,000 or $3,000 that goes to the Historical Society, I was understanding that was a big portion of their funding. Now, I don't know how much of it is true is funding, or, are they using that to keep the building alive? Are they using it to pay the heat or electricity? I don't know. So I'm looking to this board to tell me that, because that would be a big thing if you kept it and they had to start closing that down. That would be not a very good domino effect.
So let me just clarify one point, Darrell, and that is that the town pays for the utilities of that building because
Okay.
it belongs to the town.
Yep.
Okay? So
Okay.
they do not have to pay to stay in that building. Basically, they are getting it rent-free.
Okay.
In terms of their expenses or their cost as an organization, we would have to talk to Bob,
Okay.
the chairperson, to decide that.
All righty.
But I just want to make sure that if the committee decides you want to do something different, and it's a committee decision, then we can put forth any changes that are necessary for this. But it should be a committee decision decide this. And there may be a tradition, but it's really the committee that's running this. The committee should be deciding it.
Right.
Anybody else have any questions for Haley?
Well, I guess maybe on the same type of note, would you be looking for 1 year, or would you want it permanent? The money going to the Historical Society, or how you looking?
I don't
to
have an
change?
answer without knowing the committee. We haven't officially voted on it. It was kind of just like, we should take the money from the Historical Society. But like, we have a meeting next Sunday, so we can vote. That's what we want to do, change our bylaws, and then I can represent it. But that's our plan, at least for this year. And I know they're hurting too, because they didn't get it last year from us either. So it's like a frustrating situation, but.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, right? If there's no Old Home Day, then there's no money anyways.
Right, they're not going to get it either way.
So where is the money, especially this year, where's it best?
Yeah.
Yes.
One other question, Haley. Have you approached any businesses to try to subsidize?
We have not yet. I think in the times now, it's kind of hard to approach local businesses for money. It's an option. We just haven't really visited that yet. It's a lot of time, a lot of effort, so
It is.
it's an option.
Yes, Jay.
In the past, there was a advertising book that was generated by by Jim Peck at the Historical Society, and it raised a significant amount of money, probably $5,000-$6,000, and I think he did it maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something that could be on the table to try to help offset? And I know there's a lot of work involved with doing that as well, but I don't know if
It's something we can definitely approach. It's, again, going to small local businesses during a pandemic and asking
Right.
for money is tough, but it's something.
Yes.
Haley, so when the committee gets together and votes on changing the bylaws and using the advertising and the vendors, probably would be enough money coming in those two sources to fund Old Home Day. The problem is the money comes in after the fact.
Right.
So it creates a little bit of a financial void, I would say. So I think with those two sources, and then not having to cut a check over to Historical Society. So we don't know if there's any way that because I have a motion here that shows that the Old Home Day 22,500 went back to the unassigned fund. And I was wondering whether any of that can be used again out of the unassigned fund. And I'm not sure. I don't know if Greg Colby could answer that question.
The only money that can be spent is the appropriation. So as was stated before, with the budget committee cutting it down to $1, that is what is available to spend is $1 at this point.
Okay.
So one other question I have about the fireworks. I know that we postponed the fireworks. I thought it was 2 years ago, and maybe it was also last year. Is the fireworks display still owed to the town? Are you going to pay for it all over again? I don't understand.
We pay $6,000 every year. It was actually $12,000, and then our budget was cut like 6 or 7 years ago, and they did us, it's the same company we use every year, and they did us a favor and cut it in half.
So have they been, have they been paid? Is there last year or the year before?
2019 was our last time we used them.
Okay, so we're basically even with them right now.
Yes, we didn't spend any money last year,
Okay,
just the website.
yeah. So the second thing that your committee would need to come through is determining how the money could be raised. And so you have a couple of ideas that have been offered. And I think that the townspeople, especially the the commercial owners, have been very, very charitable with programs that we have done, the Knights, the Lions, other different organizations. So I would not put that out there right off the bat. You could possibly raise quite a bit of money in a very short period of time. And if it's for a town celebration, there may be a lot of businesses that want to be able to do this. Yes, Jay?
This might be a question for Greg or Mr. Pearson. Based on this amount of $6,900, is there any wiggle room within the budget to maybe cover half of this? If the other half of it was generated through fundraising or other means?
Yes, Mark?
Well, as the board knows, we came before you after the first quarter to explain that we're very early in the process this year. I think there's going to be several options later in the year that we will present to the board on what budgets to cut and what services to cut. Having said that, some of the services or some of the cuts could involve laying off personnel or discontinuing some form of services. So the answer is, how could we possibly have any funds for this event when we're going to be talking about either laying personnel off or decreasing services in a whole bunch of areas? We do not have the funds to fund the budget that that's going to cost the town to deliver the regular amount of services in 2021. I understand the question is can we find some money? It's April. We're trying to plan for how we're going to make this budget work and close the books for December 31st. So my answer is no, there is no funds. Greg, Greg Colby, if you want to pick up where I left off, you're welcome to do that.
No, I mean, I would echo the sentiment. You know, we're trying to find money to pay utilities and keep the buildings open and the programs going and the services that the citizens are used to receiving at this point. So I would have to agree with Mr. Pearson at this point. No, there is you know, even half of that is gonna be, you know, a struggle to find, and, you know, I would agree with, Mr. Pearson's, you know, analysis as well.
Okay, yes.
Maybe this can be answered later in the town manager's report, but I'll just ask it now. How much did the stairway cost? That was just, there was some work that was done over the weekend here at Town Hall to refinish the stairs. How much did
Yes,
that cost?
Well, I would say that that was in the area of a few $1,000s, but we can get you the exact figure, and I understand why you're asking that. But one of the considerations was on doing the stairs was there was some safety issues with the safety rubbers on the stairs. So there was going to be a cost to fix the safety issues because of liability and the joint loss, and it would be a liability for the town to not fix something that we know was a trip hazard. So in the course of deciding to do the trip hazard, to remove those safety rubber strips on the stairs, while you have the stairs stripped from the rubber to then reinstall the safety strips, a decision was made, and I made the decision to move forward with that because it costs almost twice as much to do a job over twice than it does to just do it right the first time. And my other comment about spending money for town hall is that the building that you're sitting in right now is over 100 years old. And I don't think that any budget cuts was meant to say that town hall should not be maintained because it's the bane of our existence. I mean, this building needs to be maintained for safety reasons, and it needs to be maintained for historic reasons, and it needs to be maintained for the future of the town to hold the meetings where you are at. And the people need to be safe to enter the building. So I think there's always going to be areas you can point at, like why are we doing this and why are we spending money for that? I don't think that, and just my last comment on this is that the general government buildings budget has been reduced by $56,000. So we're not done. I can tell you that other maintenance items are going to be delayed and not performed in that budget because we have that deficit of $56,000. This upkeep of town hall has been an ongoing project that myself and the assistant town manager have maintained over the last 3-4 years because we feel that at least the town hall building deserves to be functional and safe. That included the Pollard Park sidewalk outside, and included a lot of safety things that we've done. We had some trip hazards on the first floor where we replaced the flooring on the first floor. So I know you're asking, you know, should we have done the stairs or should we have not done the stairs so we could have done Old Home Day? And these are the choices that the board and I are going to have to make in the course of the year. And as the year goes on, it's going to get more and more difficult.
Well, I didn't say that we shouldn't have done it so we could use the money for Old Home Day. I was just asking because last week, or the last meeting, there was a presentation done of this deficit, and I understand the safety reason. So I was just asking the question, but thank you.
Any other questions? Yes,
One other quick question.
Carol.
Haley, what's the drop dead date as far as getting the fireworks? In other words, how much time do you have to give them in advance for them to know?
I'm not entirely sure, but it's the end of August, so probably significant time, at least a month or two.
Okay. That would play in big too, as for how much time we could have for fundraising or anything like
Right.
that. Okay.
I almost wonder if you might get somebody, maybe a bank or something might sponsor it.
Right.
You know, maybe sponsor the fireworks. That's an idea. Because I think having it out at Park, we could almost go with kind of like a theme, like just getting the community back together, just have like one of those old-fashioned type
Right.
old home days that they had like 30 years ago, you know, the three-legged races, that type of stuff. Stuff with low cost, and I'm sure there are maybe other groups in town that can help too, but obviously the fireworks is the big expense.
Yeah, it's a big one.
You know, other than that, it's pretty much kind of almost funds itself.
Right.
For what you're planning on this year.
So if we do fundraising and we are not successful enough to have an Old Home Day this year, does that money go into our fund?
It could, yes.
It could.
Matter of fact, I mean, that's how I would think that whatever revenue that you collect would go into the fund, because the fund was designed to pay for the expenses of Old Home Day.
Right.
So if money is collected from the vendors, if money is solicited from the businesses within the town, absolutely, that should go into that fund. Let me just ask Greg Colby, I just want to make sure I'm making the statement correctly. The last time I remember reading the fund for Old Home Day, it could be donations or revenue from the brochure. If there are, is that how you read that? So in other words, the question is, would a donation from a business be allowed to put into that fund?
Right.
If it's not used, what will end up happening is the selectmen would accept the donations. The donations would then be part of a warrant article at the next town meeting for approval to transfer into the trust fund.
Okay.
The Department of Revenue Administration, in order to put money into a fund, requires it to be some certain. So you just can't say, you know, any donations received can go in there. It has to go before a town meeting vote with a specific amount. So yes, if for some reason, you know, if they don't hold Old Home Day this year, they receive donations, then next March we would put on a warrant article for the specific amount to go in there for use for future Old Home Days.
Okay. So I guess the answer
Okay.
is yes and no.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea from like previous years what money went into the fund in terms of the brochure?
I have no idea.
No idea. Okay. That would be helpful if somebody on your committee.
Jim Peck would know. He's no longer on our committee, but he took care of that whole souvenir brochure.
Come up with a, you know, you've already come up with some of the expenses you have. Basically have an understanding of what is in the fund right now and what could be put into the fund from the same things we've done in the years past, which is basically just the fees for the tables. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
The fees for the tables as well as the brochure's revenue. In other words, you'd have to do a brochure.
right.
So those are the two things I can see that would help get you closer to this number.
I think you'd have to do it all, Haley, within the next 50 to 60 days, you know, to really have a good handle. At least it's going in that direction.
Right.
And probably secure your funds in the next 90 days in order to lock in somebody like fireworks. And I understand it's a tall order to do in that period of time.
Yeah, I think if you get the firework piece done right, then you're only talking another $1,000 for everything else. So
Yeah.
that's small potatoes once
That's
you
right.
get to the 1,000.
It's the fireworks.
That's the big one. If you
Right.
didn't have the fireworks, I think we could somehow get this pulled off, right? Because then you're only
Right.
talking raising 1,000. And I'm sure there's groups in town that would definitely help out with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we need to know what they need, when they need the down payment,
Right.
the full and paid. Once we find that out, then I think that part will just kind of fall into place because we have vendors waiting. So we come up with a firm date of August 28th and let the fireworks people know, and then let them tell us what they need. And we've worked with them before, so they might give you a little leeway. knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done them every year for us for a number of years, so.
But knowing that the money coming in will be yours to spend is all of it, so you'll be able to appropriate it, is a much better feeling than wondering how much is going to be left over for you.
Right. Okay.
So just one last item, and that is an idea that Selectman DeRoche made about the website, and you say the cost right now is about $110. So let me just give it to Jay and express that concept. Maybe she could save her $110.
Well, yeah, we could look at setting up another page on the Plaistow webpage. It's just a matter of who would maintain it, I guess, and that would have to go through probably the town manager, but, you know, I don't know if they could give you access to maintain that as well, but that would help save you some money.
That was a problem in a previous year, that it wasn't being kept up to date enough, unfortunately. So that's actually why we started a different website, so we could post our minutes right away, post all of that. And the reason it's so much is because we own the domain Plaistow OHD, and the vendors apply and pay online. All those services you have to pay for, so. But that website, that 110, is from now until August. And then once there would be an Old Home Day, I'd freeze it. So you couldn't get to it, which no one's going to go to it in December anyway.
Right.
So,
I just have one more.
Yes, Jay?
And maybe I missed this, but, so if I were to send a check for $50 to the Old Home Day Committee, would they be able to use that to help pay for Old Home Day?
To my understanding, what Greg just said, that would be a donation that would have to be accepted by the Board of Selectmen.
So if people were to start sending in donations, we could collect donations here, and it would come to us to approve.
Right. Let's clarify that. Greg Colby, if donations were accepted by the Board of Selectmen from people that wanted to donate to Old Home Day, would they be able to use that money if we accepted it as a donation, or would it have to go onto a warrant next year?
I think that you could accept them under 3119A as unanticipated revenue and spend it for the purpose of Old Home Day.
Thank you.
So that
For
would,
this year, right?
Yes, for this year.
Thank you.
so that would definitely help.
Yes.
That gives you a fighting chance.
So you have both John Blinn and Bill Coy that are assigned to your committee. Please
Okay.
keep them informed of what's going on or anything that we can do to assist or to help you. If you do some collection of information from Jim Peck, and then once you have that information, it might be a little bit easier to be able to say, yes, we can afford this and we could do it this way.
right.
So we will do whatever we can do to help. Unfortunately, we don't have any money to give you.
Yeah.
But absolutely, we could,
Okay.
to assist you.
Okay. Thank you very
so
much for your time. I appreciate it.
your help.
Thank you.
You, Haley, good luck.
I'm sorry?
Good luck.
Thank you.
It's so close
So
that
the
we
next
can't pull it
topic
off.
on our agenda has to do with confirming a change in the selectman's rep for the planning board. And let me just explain to you why that occurred. So there is a rule, there was our actual RSA that says that no more than 2 planning board members can be on the Conservation Commission. So currently, that is Tim Moore is one person, and because we initially assigned John Blinn as the alternate, he is considered an ex officio member, and if he was to be able to take my place on the planning board for a meeting, he would then become the second person. So they can only have one person, and I think you had a conversation with Tim about that. So that's pretty much resolved. So I kind of gave some time and let John come up with his own decision for that. So he decided to stay on the Conservation Commission and vacate the planning board position. I sent out just a feeler to see if anybody else would be interested, and I did get somebody interested in taking his place, and that would be Bill Coy, but it's totally up to you who we assign. So I would definitely entertain a motion to simply replace John Blinn with Bill Coyle.
Motion made. Second.
Okay, second?
Who made the second, Jay?
Jay, yep.
Thank you, Bill.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? It passes 5-0-0. I did want to tell John, since he has an interest in the Concom, the zoning, as well as the planning, that an offer was made by Dee Voss that she would be happy to print up a set of material for each meeting for you. So all you do is come pick it up at the stage before the meeting. And that way you could, at home, could follow through and get all the maps and stuff.
Beautiful. If you're out there, Dee, thank you.
It's a good thing you have nothing else to do at night, John.
No. All right, so the next item, we got a little presentation from our town manager at our meeting to come up with the agenda. So John and I are pretty aware of what's going on. This is a kind of a FYI. There is a organization called Allstate Abatement Professionals Incorporated, and they have not submitted their proper report, yearly report, to the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services. So that is an issue that we should be aware of. We're not being asked to do anything right now, but if you could make a little bit more comments on that. Hopefully I just kind of presented that for you, but is there any additional information you want to give us, Mark?
Yes. So New Hampshire DES is a regulatory agency that has requirements for a solid waste facility operating in municipalities to obtain a state permit and to file annual reports. The violation here is that the annual report has not been filed. As the chairman said, this is a notification to the town, but the town doesn't have any regulatory authority to enforce the annual reporting. That's done at the state level. So we're going to wait for the state, the DES, to follow up with the deficiency, and they will or won't do that. It sounds like they will, because why would they send a letter to notify the solid waste facility? So we did research the planning board minutes, if this facility was approved by the planning board and had stipulations. It was not. It was a company that came into existence at a condominium development that was originally approved by the planning board, and it wasn't even on the radar. So that doesn't exist. So it's a business that came to town and located here and is regulated by the state. This is an FYI for the board. I did meet with the chairman and vice chairman just so that we could talk in more detail, just in case they were questioned by other board members. Just keeping you informed. It doesn't appear that there's anything that the town is going to do or is required to do. It's going to be handled by the state.
Any questions that anybody has about this? So one of the things that I found out from Mark's conversation was the fact that we weren't expecting to have this organization come up with a disposal facility they basically are renting an industrial apartment and basically following all the rules, have been able to do this. So this is a kind of a surprise, because I wasn't even aware that this was going on within Plaistow, but evidently it's very, very legal for them to do it, as long as they follow through with submitting reports and whatnot. So, so there's nothing really for us to do, and even if the DES rules are basically takes away their permits, there's still nothing for us to do, Mark, right?
Correct. They would be, hypothetically, if the state revoked their solid waste permit, then anything related to the solid waste permit on that site would have to cease and stop and be enforced. So, again, we're going to be waiting to see what the state does.
Terrific. Okay. Thank you, Mark. So we have a couple of quick items. Yes?
We need to go back and do that motion for the RPC commissioner.
Oh, okay. There is a, we approved, or we basically said, yes, we agree with this, to have Julian Kiska as the Plaistow Commissioner for the Rockingham Planning Commission, but somehow we didn't make a motion to do that. So there is a draft motion. If we could have somebody read that, we can put that into the record as a motion that we are asking for those appointments.
And Julian's on board with doing this?
Yep.
We're not blindly appointing him, you know?
No, I talked with him.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you, Julian. I move to reappoint Julian Kiska as the Plaistow Commissioner on the Rockingham Planning Commission for a 4-year term expiring in 2025. I further move to reappoint Tim Moore as the RPC Commissioner with a term expiring in 2024, and to appoint Greg Talon as the alternate RPC Commission with a term also expiring in 2024.
We have a second?
Second.
Second, Darrell. Any further discussion?
The only question would be, I see with Tim and with yourself, Greg, your
Yeah.
term, if it's a 4-year term and yours expires in '24, how come, why wouldn't it be the same as Julian if we're approving it from 2021?
We thought this was, that Tim and I were all taken care of last year,
Okay.
but it was never sent in or never. Tim, do you recall the reason why we're appointing yourself and myself? Is it because it wasn't approved by the Board of Selectmen, or was it not sent to the RPC?
To the best of my recollection, it was approved by the selectmen, but just notification never got sent to the RPC.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to make sure we didn't have to
Okay.
have all the dates the same.
But yeah, this motion, regardless of what happened or didn't happen last year, this motion that you just read will take care of all of us. So
Okay.
that's a good thing, I guess.
It works.
So if there's no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That passes 5-0-0. Thank you on that. Okay. So advice is always a good thing to get. It's sometimes not always, people are not always receptive to get advice. But when the advice has to do with us complying with state law, then it's really important. So I've had a discussion with our right-to-know expert, Beth, and she did some research, and the issue has to do with communication by the board via email. So I'm going to give the floor to Beth, and she's going to provide us with some advice. And she also included a handout in our book, in our folders rather, that also provides that in more detail. Beth?
Okay, in your folders, there are a couple of pages, 11, 12, and 13. It's from the Right to Know book, and there is a copy in the Selectmen's office. Basically, we just want to be careful. it's fine to email information. What you don't want to do is to get into a discussion back and forth, because then it falls under the right to know law. And if we get a request for email communication, we have to provide it. So you're better off to, blind copy or have it come through me. And if I send it out, that's fine. Just don't reply all if you have a question or a comment. That's pretty much it.
I wouldn't even want to blind copy it in that case, because then if it was ever subpoenaed for any reason, then you'd be in trouble for trying to circumvent the law. So I think it's a good idea, as far as I'm concerned, and the rest of the board can chime in, that it goes to you. Correct.
And actually, one other point is you're better off to use your Plaistow email to respond to anything and not your personal email, because you don't want your personal email to be,
Secure.
needed to be looked at for a right-to-know request.
So in line with this, a couple of including myself, have a personal email as well as a town email, and I've asked Beth to send it to both of me, so I'm aware of things that happen for whether I'm working or whether I'm viewing my town stuff. So one of the suggestions I would have to kind of go along with what Beth is talking about is that you can auto forward your Plaistow.com email to go to your personal account, so that when something gets sent to your Plaistow.com, it goes to your personal account, you get to see it. The only suggestion I would have, if you want to reply from that, you log into your Plaistow.com account and reply that way. So you'll be able to have the email that you normally use on a day-to-day basis and be able to be aware of information coming to you. But you won't have, you just have to get it in the habit of using the Plaistow.com as the way that you communicate.
That sounds good.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. So one final thing, and this is something I learned in part of this research, is that normally we talk about, well, if I talk to an individual selectman, then that's not really a quorum, and so I should be okay. So if I talk to Jay on the phone, I'm doing okay. But if I talk to another selectman on the same topic, is considered by the state as a meeting. Okay? So if you're looking to see, well, what are people's opinions about a particular issue, when you call each one of them, you're breaking the law. So if you want to get a feeling, call one person and then bring it to the board. Bring it to the board so we can discuss it at the board. And John and I try to come up with the agenda so that we get the business at hand taken care of, but we are absolutely open to any issue that you want to bring to the agenda. So please feel very, very comfortable saying, hey, can we get this on the agenda, because it's something that I want discussed. And we, most of the time, will have the time to be able to do that either during the selectmen's reports, if necessary. But if we can put it as an agenda item, that's where we should be discussing it. Okay? Any comments or questions about that? Excellent, thank you. And thank you for doing that, Beth. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just for clarification on the blind copy, if you read page 12, it talks about what Beth was referring to is that if you BCC the email to a board member, it prevents a board member from being able to click reply all. That's the spirit of what she was trying to say. It wasn't to be deceitful by blind copying. It's actually written in this on a suggestion, because it would prevent you, if you happen to hit reply all, it wouldn't happen.
Great, thank you, Mark.
Ed, could I just add to that?
Sure, absolutely.
And if you do that, in practice, I've done that where I blind copied folks and I put in the text at the bottom of the email, BCC, and I'll put the people's names so that everyone who's receiving the email knows who was blind copied on that email.
Well, yes, that's just being transparent, and I just wanted to make the point, there's nothing nefarious about this. This is actually written on page 12 on what the suggestion is about the BCC. It's a step to just prevent, in the case somebody decides to reply all, that it just wouldn't happen. So it's for your protection. So I just wanted to clarify that, that's all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so we have another topic, past selectmen recognition. We actually have it on the agenda for the next meeting, correct?
I'm sorry, what?
The recognition for the past selectmen. But I just want to kind of give you a little information on that. Julian's chair did arrive. So it actually arrived a lot earlier than we thought it was going to. So we have it on the agenda for the next meeting, and what we need to do now is make sure that both of those individuals can come to that meeting. So that would be May 12th, not 12th, May, I have it on my calendar.
No, April 26th, I believe.
Don't get
Did
rid
we
of
say-
April yet.
Yeah, did we say we could actually do it
You're
then,
pushing
or-
it now, the date's out.
It was either going to be April 26th or May 10th.
Yes.
So I would rather do it,
Mark's
I'd
waving
rather do
something
it
in front
on
of the
May
camera.
10th, because if we do it on May 10th, that means that Jay's going to be present. Correct?
Yep,
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
I'll be in person, yes.
So if we can find out of those two individuals.
Mark's got his hand up.
Yes, Mark.
When you conclude this discussion, I just have another, direct your attention to something else in your folder
Yep.
that we need to work on, that's all.
Okay.
All right, so we're shooting for May 10th to get the both of them here.
Yep.
All the board members will be here.
Correct.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mark.
So in your folder, you should have a memorandum from DeVos to the Board of Selectmen dated April 8th, 2021, and it's about the Rockingham Planning Commission 2021 dues. I believe Selectman Talon moved, seconded by Karen Robinson, to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that the 2021 Rockingham Planning Commission dues be paid in the amount of $7,756. If you would just indulge me for a second, I would like the board to take into consideration to not pay these dues this year in light of the budget. That's $7,756 that will go towards the distance we're trying to make up in the budget before the end of the year. That's just my suggestion. I know we're going to be faced with choices later on this year, and I'm just bringing this to the board.
Question?
Yes.
Mark, what's the repercussions if we don't pay it?
Well, I've worked in other communities where we have decided not to participate in the planning commissions. There is some value to help the town with, say, GIS, in planning-related things in the course of a year. So ostensibly, if the town did not pay the dues, we would not be able to access the services for this year that we're normally accustomed to. But let me just say this. The planning budget has been reduced by $5,000. So if you were to do this, and this is dues in another area of the budget, I'm considering laying off the planning director for probably 7 meetings to try to make that budget work. So if I lay off the planning director for 7 meetings, do we really need to have, this full package of dues paid to the Rockingham Planning Commission?
Got it. I can tell you, gentlemen, that in the past, in the 80s and 90s, we didn't pay it every year. There were times when we said, we just don't need to pay it this year. We can get by without it. So it's not setting a precedent by any means. We've done it before.
And I guess the thing is, do we use these services quite a bit, or do we sometimes go a year and we don't even need them?
you can, most of the time, squeak through, you know.
So, question mark, just to clarify, the GIS that we have on the appraisal section of the website, are you saying that that service will stop working, or we basically use it
No,
without data?
that's a different company that we have under contract related to assessing. And in fact, we're working with them as part of their original scope of work for their annual payment to update our layers of the GIS in our own assessing files. So that's mutually exclusive of the other assistance that the Rockingham Planning Commission can do. I'm by no means suggesting that the Rockingham Planning Commission doesn't offer services for the town that are very helpful with the planning process. But as Selectman Bretton said, you know, his experience was similar to mine. There's been years where there's been an intermission for one reason or another. So you would forego the services until you agreed to pay the dues for the following year. But again, we're going to be making these decisions for the remainder of the year. So I don't know where the good places are to not spend money. I don't know where those are. I'm gonna engage the board in your opinion on what you think are the areas to cut back. One thing's for sure, and I'm only bringing this up not to aggravate anybody, but one thing's for sure, we have to pay our electric bills and we have to pay our heating bills. And that's the money that we don't have discretion on. So those bills are going to be paid, unless the board's going to tell me that we're not going to pay the electric bill and we're not going to pay the oil bill. But that would be, you know, the heating bill, that would be very interesting if that's what the board is going to tell me to do. But in my opinion, we're going to pay the utility bills. It's just a constant reminder. You can't not pay utility bills that are part of the town budget. So we have to make up the money somewhere else.
So there won't,
Yes.
Mark, there won't be, like, if we don't pay the dues for this year, we're not gonna have to pay any penalties for next year or anything?
No, sir, I've never heard of that, and, you know, I think there's various reasons for intermission, and perhaps this year is a good reason for an intermission.
And this was
Especially if I have to lay off the planning director for 7 meetings, that could be for 2-3 months. So, you know, how much of the service is really going to be used if I lay off the planning director?
So I'm sorry, you finished?
No, that's it.
Okay. So we just, we just passed a motion to appoint an individual, 3 people to represent the town on the RPC. If we don't pay our dues, I assume that's kind of undid that,
Yes, you're correct.
Right.
okay? Since Tim is on the line, Tim, can I ask you if you have any comments or input to this issue that might help the board?
Obviously, I would like to see the dues paid. If we don't pay the dues, we do lose we're, you know, no longer voting members of the commission, so we lose that. Obviously, we lose any services that they might provide. They have to do other things like master plan updates and et cetera, that you might contract with beyond the scope of the dues. There is a higher hourly rate that they charge for non-dues paying members. And the other impact is on transportation-related issues. Those are all scored, and we typically don't give as high a score to communities that submit transportation plans. Now, I guess fortunately, the next go-around for the TAP program and CMAQ, well, CMAQ might be coming up next year, but I don't think we have any CMAQ programs. But in 2 years, the TAP program would be a natural for extending the work that the DOT is undertaking with traffic calming. I don't think that our non-payment of RPC dues would have any impact on the DOT project, because that's already, money's already in the 10-year plan. So I guess we'd be good there. The other thing, as part of the dues, we could ask, if we don't have funds enough to pay for a planning director, we could ask for some help with the planning director's responsibilities from the RPC. Obviously, I don't know what their response would be. So there, there could be a way to make up some of that. Because other than that, I don't really know.
Thank you for your feedback, Tim. Yes,
It
Dave?
would certainly be a setback to the RPC because I'm on their executive committee and I represent RPC and the National New Hampshire Association of Regional Planning Commissions, so they have to do a little shuffling of positions.
Go ahead, Jay.
Do we need to take action on this right now?
Yes.
Yes?
The bill is due.
The bill is due? Okay.
Yep, their fiscal years run July 1st to June 30th, so these would be fiscal 22 dues, which are, pardon the pun, due now. But there would certainly be a grace period till June 30th, I would guess.
So if this was funded in next year's budget, the earliest that we'd be able to get back into the RPC would be March, correct?
Yeah, because that would be the next time the budget was approved, right?
Okay.
So do you need a motion for that?
Yes,
or-
we do.
I'll give it if we're done with discussion.
I think we are. Yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we do not pay the dues for this year,
For RPC.
for RPC, I'm sorry.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. Any final discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstained? That passes 5-0-0. Okay. So we have one last item. The changes in the town code, we're talking about the town regulations that we actually worked on last year. So John and Jay are probably aware, we actually went right through the entire town code and took sections of it. And while we are going off, correcting it and bringing things up to date, we also converted all these PDFs into Word documents. Some of them were converted, others were retyped in. So now we have the ability of actually creating our own master copy of the town code.
Where does that reside?
That resides in 10 different books. The books are these big binders.
Okay.
And if you had it printed by this company, they would provide you with new books. So the binders are very, very nice, the 3-hole punch. And what the planning board has been doing, for all the changes and warrants for the zoning ordinances, they've been they keep their own Word document, and they actually print 10 copies, 3-hole punch it, and then give them out to the people who have these 10 books. So some of the books, just telling you right now, one of them resides with the town clerk, another resides with the town manager and the finance director, another one, our attorney, someone caller has a copy of that, and then I believe the code enforcement officer has one, and we're trying to find out who has the rest.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
But once we do that, we can now start just put the new piece, take the old one out, put the new one in, and we'll have this up to date. So what we are missing is we never made a motion to, we never had a public hearing for the changes in the code. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So we will put that into the schedule, into the agenda. I believe it's the next meeting, Beth?
No, we can't do it that soon,
Okay, so May 10th?
hopefully.
Okay, so like May 10th, we will get a public hearing for that, and by that time, we will try to get the changes from the old code to the new code and make that available on the website, so people have the ability to be able to see the changes that we made. Okay?
And just right now, for the record, you do have it in your handbook. It's section 4, and it's also on the town website,
Okay,
the town code.
good. Okay, so we, it's probably a good time to do the town manager's report. Mark, could you give us the highlights?
Yes, sir. What's not included in my narrative, my written narrative, is that we got served with a lawsuit today at the town clerk's office, and it's in reference to the zoning board, where a applicant is appealing to Superior Court on a determination by the building official and the zoning board's denial of overturning the chief building official's decision. So I'll forward a copy to Beth and so forth. So Attorney Charles Cleary is going to be handling that. He handles those types of matters as a regular course. So the Public Safety Building Committee minutes research, and I won't talk much about it. I will defer to Selectman DeRoche because I know I forwarded it to everybody, but he was the one that requesting party, so I'll skip that, and hopefully Selectman DeRoche will handle the rest of that.
Oh, by all means, Mark, go ahead. You did all the research, so I'll let you answer it if you'd like.
Well, it's pretty simple. January 16, 2015, minutes refer to not having the building inspector and health officer move to the fire station. So it was in the minutes of the meetings, and it was during the part of the project when the project was, I believe, in the $11 million range. And subsequent to that, the project was reduced down to 8.5 million, and there was some valued engineering, so they removed second floors and other type things with that reduction of almost $3 million. So that was a question that somebody brought up about, that they thought that the building inspector and health officers could be moved to the fire station, and there were rooms available and made available and part of the project, and with the reflection of the minutes. And of course, I wasn't here then, but they're clear. This was the minutes that when they shifted gears to change that concept from that thought process.
Just a quick comment. Thank you for finding that for me, because I was sure it still existed. So I was certainly wrong about that. And knowing that, it certainly would have made my decision easier looking at the annex as it is now. So I appreciate everybody's efforts, Mark, Jay, and getting that information so that I have something to hang my hat on.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, I'll try to spin through some of the other ones. Simply, number 2 was the sale of town-owned land. The board has heard that tonight. There's been meetings of the Stormwater Task Force with town staff in Normando. We go over the mandatory reporting for the MS4 stormwater permitting. Part of that is number 4, street sweeping. We do that annually to try to capture contaminated soils left behind from the winter. That has been contracted out and is in process. Number 5, East Road Pump House permitting. We have basically a green light, but we're in a 30-day holding period. They're going to ask us to make the town to make a donation of $20,000 to the Aquatic Resource Mitigation ARM Fund. But the good news is whatever donation we make, we're going to get 100% reimbursed through the Waterline project. And that would mean that we think that that's going to be one of the only requirements for them to issue the permit. And that's after a comprehensive review by New Hampshire DES, EPA, and the U.S. Corps of Army Engineers for the pump house project over on East Road. So we think that the timing of this permit, if they issue it within this 30-day period, would be very timely because the RFPs for bids from the state for the project are underway. And we think that they'll be getting results in, but before they actually award the bid, then we would have the permit in hand, because that's very valuable to the contractor to know that there's actually a permit in hand, because it goes to the scheduling of the job. So we think everything is now on course to be approved, because we've got good information now from New Hampshire DES. Number 6, the water tank is substantially completed and the final work is being performed. We're scheduled to make a site visit tomorrow at 11 o'clock and meet with the engineers and the contractor. Waterline construction has started. They're working over in the Blossom neighborhood right now. They were making some cuts on Westville Road today. They'll be going over to Hale Spring to make some more lateral connections for the curb stops. And DeFelice has set up silt fences along East Road for the water line for the water line construction, which they have a green light for that to start. That does not require any permitting. That's already been approved. Additional permitting, that's already been pre-approved, and that's a state road. So you're going to see a lot of construction. I do have this one. Okay, so Wentworth Ave reconstruction, which is related to the water project. Once Unitel puts the gas line in, we're trying to work on an agreement, a 3-way agreement, that DeFelice with the water project, Unitel with the gas lines, and the town will work with their funds and our funds to reconstruct Wentworth Ave. That is to come in and actually grind all of the paving and all of the material, and then put down a binder course and a finished course of pavement. Because last year I brought to the board's attention that the drainage on Wentworth failed during the water project, and luckily we brokered a deal with the project to actually pay for the improved drainage to be fixed on Wentworth Ave, because that's a very wet area. So we're doing good. We would use money from the highway block grant because that's a town road. So I'm not asking for any additional funds. Just one side note about these, talking about using a highway block grant, we have $157,000 to use on town roads, and if we don't use it, we lose it. So although it may seem like with our budget dilemmas, you're going to see things that we're going to do that are going to be outside of the operational budget. This block grant is included in the budget, but can't be used for something else. So it has to be used for the roads or nothing else. So that's why this is going to be done. The Route 125 natural gas construction has started at Market Basket and will go south on 125 to Wentworth and then down Wentworth. They were out there working today. We are working on getting the Stephen Savage Way paved. That's the road extension next to the public safety complex that leads to the Palmer property. It was part of the public safety complex land swap deal, so we're working with vendors now to actually get it paved.
Is
The
that-
town hall work.
Excuse me, Mark?
We've got large cracks of plaster in different parts of the building that we're dealing with, walls and ceilings, and
Mark?
obviously.
Mark?
Yeah, yes.
Hold on one moment.
Got a quick question for you, Mark, on the Stephen Savage Way. Is that going to be, is it a public way? I don't know much about it, or is it going to be just used strictly for the safety complex?
That is that's going to be a public way. It will have to be accepted by the town, the portion that we're extending now. It will be up to town standards, and the Palmer property is up for sale to be developed. And my information is that there's several plans out there to extend that road up into that Palmer property to develop it, so that would become, it would become, ostensibly become a town road unless they're gonna make it a private road. But at least the portion adjacent to the complex would remain a public way.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So number 12, American Rescue Plan funds, we're constantly monitoring. We don't have any answers on the funds yet. When we do, we'll let you know. Summer rec program, we've issued conditional job offers, and we're scheduled to go into non-public about settlement negotiations for 2 cases with the BTLA.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. So we also have some minutes that we need to be reviewed
Yes.
for that. Okay, so we're not going to go into it quite yet. We're going to first do our selectmen's reports.
Okay.
Okay. Can we start with you, Bill?
Sure. Last week attended a planning board meeting. And just a reminder, Plaistow Pride Day is going to be Saturday, April 24th. Anyone interested, register with Jen over at Recreation. They'll be meeting at the gazebo right outside here at Town Hall at 8:30. And then just another reminder, the yard sale's scheduled for May 15th.
Thank you. Okay.
I attended 2 meetings. One was the Energy Committee meeting, where they are making a recommendation for a policy for the streetlight replacements. So I will talk to Dee about getting that over to us for a future agenda to approve that, to review and approve. We talked about, you know, some of the solar projects that are going on at the salt shed, the warrant article that failed, you know, what we can do to try to, you know, increase visibility and on the good things that the committee has done with various projects around town. So those are some of the things we talked about. And then I also attended the track meeting. They are ready with their recommendations for the Board of Selectmen. They would like to request to be on the agenda for the April 26th meeting to do a presentation and talk through those recommendations. So that will be good for us, so we can get to the RFP a lot sooner than we originally, or according to Mark's timeline that he put together. So it was a lot of good discussion, and they're excited to get through that part of it and to move on to some other things, so.
Awesome. Thank you.
No, I'm good.
You're good. Harold?
Well, I attended the cable meeting, and I was the only one here. And I found out it hadn't happened for 2 years, so I have nothing to report.
Did you have any disagreements at the meeting?
Only with myself, yeah. Jay, quick question for you, though. I see the track meeting it'd be this Thursday?
It was this past Thursday.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
That's
All
why
right.
you were alone.
Did you get the meeting invite?
No,
I thought we had it forwarded to you.
never saw it.
Plaistow email, okay. I will make sure it gets to you next time so that you're there.
I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
I'm Sorry about that. I
Don't
know what
worry
happened.
about it. You know something, if it's the worst thing you ever do in your life, you're all set.
So I have a very, very brief, I did attend the planning board meeting. And I was really happy to see Bill there. And I really hope that, that John continues his interest in that. I think that it makes you probably one of the more experienced people within the town to be able to have that type of perspective, both from zoning, from the Concom, as well as planning. So I'm really encouraged, and so I hopefully you continue to do that. There was a little concern about the having a person assigned to the Historic Society. And when we were first making up that sheet, I put my name on it when Jim Peck said, how come there's nobody assigned to that? And I believe that I updated all of the website with all those assignments. So I know my name was there under Historic Society. And Jim just responded back to us saying, what's going on? You know, the Historic Society is so important, and why isn't somebody assigned to it? So I sent back to him and said, you need to look at the website because there is somebody assigned. So as far as I know, there is only a single open position. If you go to your sheet in the book, Beth just gave us a brand new one. The only open one we have is for an alternate for the Highway Safety Advisory. And that's supposed to be just a quarterly meeting. I haven't heard anything more than that. So if you just update that with Bill's name, where John's name was for the planning, that'll be up to date. And we'd be happy to make this available on the website for other committees, just for them to know who their representatives are. I believe we have updated all the committees that are on the website. So other than that, but just trying to keep an eye on all the things that are coming up. I had a conversation with our previous chair, Francine, and she said, it's surprising how fast the agenda fills up. And I says, yeah, I thought we had way too many meetings scheduled, but all the agenda items that come up so fast, and they basically fill things up very quickly. But I'm still trying to work. We did cover a lot of things this evening, but I'm still trying to work to get us out at a reasonable time, yet still get the business done. And it's kind of a balancing act of what we cover this week versus what we cover in 2 weeks. We're trying to be able to make everything fall together. And again, I want to thank Beth. Beth has been phenomenal support. If you can afford it, whenever you can afford it, give her a raise. So we have some issues, some items for non-public session. And Mark, did you have a specific area? Is that considered
There's a
legal
motion.
advice?
There's a motion in your folder.
Okay.
Hey, Greg,
Yes.
before we move on to non-public, can I talked to you about the board goals?
Yes.
I didn't know if you wanted to put that on as like an action item for us to pick up at a later date or something. I feel it's important that if we all come up with some goals that we want to shoot for as a committee this year, I know we talked a lot at the election about the turnout, what can we do as a board to help get the turnout, a little higher or something like that. So I just thought maybe it would be a good exercise for us to, come up with some goals and.
That's a really
and do
great
that.
topic for, like an organizational meeting or whatever.
Right.
That we don't normally get because we're handling business every single meeting.
Right.
But absolutely, we could either have a couple of the selectmen come up with some draft ideas for goals, would be one way of to approach it, or we can basically just have everybody send their ideas for goals to Beth, and then we'll consolidate them there.
Yeah.
What would you rather do?
I think probably send them to Beth just to consolidate them, and then we could
So just
talk
have
in them.
Talk all at once about it.
Yeah, and then have
Okay.
at a future meeting, just discuss those, yeah.
That's
Okay.
good.
Good
Awesome.
idea.
Excellent. Okay, Mark, under what category, you said there was a motion.
There- Yeah, there are a couple in there.
Here it is.
Do you want to do
It's in-
non-public minutes in public or non-public?
Well, we can approve non-public minutes in public session as long as we don't discuss them or ask questions.
Yeah, so I don't know which one
So,
you want to do.
so what I would suggest, before we go into non-public, is I'll have Beth hand us out the minutes. We'll go through them, and then all we have to do is approve and decide whether we want to keep them sealed. If we have any discussion, just let us know that we have this one item we need to have discussed, and we'll move that into a non-public session. Is that all right? Okay?
Thank you.
And I found the two motions, Mark, so we have those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this first one on March 1st, 2021, is still a pending issue. So it's my recommendation that would be that we would approve the minutes and continue to seal to them, keep them sealed. So do I have a motion? Someone put forth a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve and seal the March 1st, 2021 minutes.
Okay, second?
I second the motion.
Okay, John seconds it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Staying?
Abstain.
Okay. Okay, so we have 3-0-1. Okay.
Would that be 401?
No,
302.
it would be 3-0-2.
302.
302?
I said,
Okay.
I did say 1, I'm sorry. It's
Okay.
3-0-2. Thank
So,
you.
okay.
Good shot. Pick that right up.
I'd say the same with this set too, right?
Yes, I agree. This is still pending, and currently it is sealed. So I'd solicit a motion that we approve these minutes and continue to have them sealed. Anybody want to put
I
forth
second
that
the motion.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstain. So that one passes 5-0-0.
Okay,
and that
I
will be
missed
continued.
something. I had John Blennis, the motion. Were you the second?
I second it.
All right, then who made the motion?
I guess I made the motion.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, got it.
Let me do that. Made so many motions for Francine, I'm doing it myself. All right, so this is the third one. This is the second session. So my recommendations for this motion would be that the reason we sealed it no longer is pertinent. And I think we can approve the minutes. So can somebody, if you agree with that, can somebody make a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So Jay seconded. Sorry, Bill.
No big
Okay. No problem. Okay.
I'll meet you in
So
the
that was a
gazebo
motion to
after.
approve and
Seal.
to unseal them.
Yeah, okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Abstain. So that passes 5-0-0. Wow, we had like a lot of these, didn't we? So my recommendations on this one, if you agree, would be to approve and continue to have it sealed, as it is still an ongoing issue.
Yeah, I make that motion.
Okay? Do I hear a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, John seconds the motion.
Okay.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstain. So that passes 5-0-0. And the last one.
Make a motion to approve and keep sealed the March 29th, 2021, Session 2 meeting minutes.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second motion.
Okay, so we'll give that one to Bill. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Abstain. So that passes 5-0-0. That's the last one. If you put these back in your folder, and we'll give those back to...
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, if, you may have found the two non-public sessions that we are going to be, one is for L and one is for reputation. Let's do the reputation first. Could someone read that?
I make a motion to enter non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, Part 2, hiring reputation.
No, it's just reputation.
Okay.
Yep. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Tyan,
Yes.
Mr. Blinn,
Yes.
Mr. DeRoche,
Yes.
Mr. Coy,
Yes.
Mr. Bretton.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we will leave public session at 8:37.
Can you give me a few minutes to sign on under the other
We will.
address?